Good evening, Dolphins fans. Thank you for holding tight with our technical difficulties. You're here for another episode of On the FinSide here with Kat and Paul. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. I'm Brian Cat NFL. Paul is fanatic _ pick. So the Dolphins come away with an incredible victory tonight, 26-25 on Saturday Night Football, the day after Christmas, over the Raiders. The Dolphins are now 10-5, and now we have a quarterback controversy on our hands. We have an amazing victory on our hands. We have a controversial Byron Jones pass interference play at the end of the game on our hands as well. So the big thing here, Paul, is where do the Dolphins go here at 10-5 with Ryan Tannehill and Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa. It's Flores came out in his post-game breakdown. He said what we all think, or what a lot of us think, not all, but Tua is remaining his starter, and I like that approach. Ryan Fitzpatrick is arguably the best backup quarterback in football and the best relief pitcher in football. He's a guy that he comes into a game, he can throw 6 interceptions. He could throw 6 touchdowns. You don't know what you're going to get. But in a game that looks hopeless and lost, there is no better guy to come in and maybe he gets you the win and it's fabulous, and maybe he loses the game or continues the loss that was coming anyway. It really depends. It could go either way. And you know what? As it came down to the wire tonight, everybody was looking at it. I saw it all over Twitter and social media where it was like, all right, is he throwing a touchdown or an interception? Whatever it is, it's exciting, and he's not costing us the game, but he might win it for us. And that's his role now. And he was on the sidelines teaching Tua between series, which I loved seeing.
The question I ask as I have this creepy lighting around me in this it looks like a creepy basement because of the technical difficulties is it, when you look at it, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he can come in and be the relief pitcher, but this isn't baseball. So when you look at it, is every time Tua gets into a pickle, he can't have somebody come back like a Ryan Fitzpatrick and come back and win the game for him, or otherwise, why not just start Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Well, I think it's because Ryan Fitzpatrick is not going to get you there if he's starting every game. He just isn't. We've talked about that. We talked about it at length when Miami signed Fitzpatrick. We talked about it at length numerous times. It's who he is, and I totally get it, and it's fine. But he's a guy, like I said, that can come in and provide that spark. He's your 8-8 prototypical quarterback, but he's one that when he hits that Fitz magic and not that Fitz tragic, can get it done for you.
And in this game, with 19 seconds left to play, he gets hit as he's thrown. Arden Key grabs his face mask, turns it around, and the Dolphins have the ball at the Raiders' 26-yard line. They win the football game, 26-25. They're 10-5 on the year. Phenomenal. I mean, this was a back and forth football game the entire time. I mean, it was 16-16 at one point, and then the Raiders drive the length of the field, score a touchdown. Daniel Carlson misses a field goal for the Raiders. It's 22-16. Fitzpatrick, after coming into the game, Myles Gaskin catches a pass, turns upfield 59 yards, goes the length of the field, and it's 23-22. The Raiders get the ball right back, drive the length of the field again, and it's 25-23, and that's what brings it to 19 seconds left. Incredible. I mean, there are so many things to unpack in this game, like we've talked about. You should have. I mean, I've got a little soda right here for everything that's happened here tonight. I mean, incredible stuff.
Yeah, I think I need a little bit harder soda here for this one. But no, I mean, the thing I'm going to dive right into something I am upset about before we start celebrating. And it goes back to the Fitzpatrick and Tua thing. and in reality, it's not on them. This is something that I'm getting pretty pissed off at Chan Gailey here. When Tua was on the field, it felt like he was calling an offense that only existed within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And you cannot beat an NFL defense, any NFL defense, with that type of offense. And it was sad, and it pissed me the hell off for 80% of this game.
Yeah, the question with that is, was the switch to Fitzpatrick because Fitzpatrick was willing to throw the ball down the field, or was it Chan Gailey? And I don't have the answer to that question. That's something that's going to bear out here in the next couple of, if not the next couple of weeks, the next couple of years.
Yeah, and it could be something where too, and before we move on, where Fitz was telling Tua on the sideline, like, look, I know old man Chan's calling in these plays. You got to get up to the line of scrimmage and just say, screw what old man Chan said, and you just got to throw the damn ball. Screw ball security. Throw it at somebody. I mean, we don't know.
And he was right,
Yeah.
But also, is that a long-term strategy? I'm not sure if it is or not. So, but the grumpy guy in me is now going to pass away here, okay?
Come on, Happy Cat.
I mean, the Dolphins are 10-5, and we get to sit around and watch football tomorrow and hope that some good things happen here. And some of those things that can happen is, number one, the Colts beating the Steelers and the Bills beating the Patriots. Because if that happens, then the Dolphins could go 11-5 and easily clinch a playoff spot in a very contested AFC.
Well, and God, not only that, there's the playoff spot. There's the off-season play because we've got the Texans' top overall pick, and they're number 2. And the Jets look like they're poised to beat the Cleveland Browns, who are traveling to New Jersey with no wide receiver with the last name of Willies, whoever the hell that guy is, and a couple of tight ends and nobody to throw the ball to with Baker Mayfield. And the Texans look poised to lose again. There's so many different things going on right now for the Dolphins. It's we can be in draft season and playoff season, and holy hell, this is amazing.
Yeah. So tomorrow, root for a couple of things. The Dolphins being able to get into the playoffs if the Dolphins win next week against the Buffalo Bills, they're in the playoffs anyway. But the pathway for tomorrow, or for week 17, is a lot easier if the Colts win and if the Buffalo Bills win too, because the Bills are probably going to rest their starters in the final week there. But also, there's also the Dolphins have the Texans pick in the first round too. So because of that, we have to root for a couple of things here. The Falcons have to beat the Chiefs, which is probably not going to happen. The Panthers have to beat the Redskins, which is possible. But the big one is the Bengals pulling an upset over the Texans. Probably not going to happen.
Upset? Wait.
Likely to happen.
Did you say Bengals upset the Texans?
Yes.
That could totally happen. The Bengals can beat the Texans.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
You're talking about a team that's got right now a top 6 pick in the draft. It can happen. I mean, they looked fired up against the Steelers last week.
They did beat the Steelers, and even though the Steelers have looked bad, I mean, the Texans have allowed on defense 27 touchdowns to 3 interceptions here this year. So possible. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Texans win running away. I think Deshaun Watson and a bunch of 8th graders could win this football game against the Bengals. But the Texans' defense is so bad, you actually have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, Finley can carve up the Texans D. I mean, the Texans can carve up the Bengals D, sure, but I wouldn't put money on either team in that game.
So we've talked about the quarterback position. We've talked about some playoff scenarios here. At running back, Myles Gaskin. God, I mean, I continue to look like more of a horse's ass by the week when it comes to Miles Gaskin. He had 141 total yards against the Bengals. Then 2 weeks go by. He's out with COVID. Not his fault. A lot of people have dealt with that. And then today he has 169 total yards against the Raiders, and one of the biggest plays of the game. And if Miles Gaskin does not make this play, the Dolphins don't have a chance in this one late in the game. 59-yard pass, catches an in route, breaks a tackle, breaks 3 tackles, and takes it to the house. But puts the Dolphins up 23-22 at the time. Raiders come back, get a field goal, and then we know what happens after that. Phenomenal work here by Miles Gaskin.
Well, and let's give some credit where credit is due. Miles Gaskin did some phenomenal work on that play, but Miles Gaskin doesn't score without 2 things on that play: a block by Michael Gesicki on the play,
Yes.
and then the Pirate King himself, Mac Hollins, smacks 2 guys to free Miles Gaskin down the sideline. Holy hell. Oh, this is the guy I saw coming out of Washington when I got excited and everybody thought I was crazy a few years ago in the draft.
Yeah, myself included. And in fairness, neither one of us thought Mike Gesicki could block.
No,
And
I wouldn't have put money on that.
And I'm talking both of us here. He sprung Miles Gaskin on that long run. And Mike Gesicki also had one of the bigger plays of the game too, a 37-yard catch from Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I'm not sure how he willed his way through to that, but fantastic work there. Along the offensive line too, I've got to give major props too. I mean, 1 or 2 penalties, but overall, good work on the offensive line, especially Austin Jackson and Robert Hunt on the outside. I know that Cleveland Farrell did not play in this game for the Raiders, but Max Crosby, Carl Nassib overall, other than 1 sack by Nassib, they were neutralized on that one. So good work again.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of stunts that fooled a little bit. There was one play early on with Flowers where I am amazed that they missed Flowers 15 yards downfield making a block when Tua threw a completion. He just went down and buried a linebacker that dropped back in zone coverage. It was hilarious, and he didn't get flagged, so I just kind of went, oh, okay. But no, I thought the offensive line did well overall. There were some problems. Tua did hold the ball a little too long at times and looked like a rookie. I don't know if it was the play calling, but again, we need to see him progress a little bit here down the stretch, and we need to see the playbook opened up.
Yeah, the playbook needs to open up, and Tua cannot be bailed out when he's not playing well. I mean, that can't be a constant theme. But I'll continue to decipher this in my head as the weeks go on here. But I'm just happy the Dolphins right now are 10-5. One thing about Eric Flowers too, Eric Flowers, he is very good holding the point of attack on the inside, creating a pocket for the quarterback to throw through. But playing at space, it gets ugly. But it didn't make much of a difference here in this game. Looking on the defensive side of the ball, Paul, not a lot of pass rush there on Derek Carr today, and that was part of the problem. Derek Carr throws for 344 yards. He has time to just sit back in the pocket, and even when he's not just chucking up passes to Darren Waller, he had some time to throw.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did. I mean, it started to look like Miami got their pass rush shaped up in the first half. Van Ginkel had those 2 sacks. Jerome Baker ended up getting a sack later on. But overall, they did get a few hits on Carr, but he was kept a lot cleaner than I expected in this one.
Yeah, and Van Ginkel, phenomenal first half. You
Yeah.
predicted 2 sacks. He got 2 sacks and 2 tip passes.
Yeah,
So
he got two tipped passes and a sack on a single drive. I mean, he is just as much responsible for Miami being in the game as anybody else.
yeah, it seemed like the entire game on the Dolphins defense, it was a bend but don't break philosophy, and that philosophy actually did work because when you get to the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, you know, Raiders have only scored 16 points, and that's kind of how their offense tends to go. And that's the Dolphins like to do that as well on defense. Just hold them to to not a lot of points. But then at the end of the game here, Byron Jones allows an 85-yard touchdown to Nelson Aguilar, and also has a 49-yard pass interference penalty. That also factors into. I just wish they would call it a 15-yard pass or a 15-yard penalty where Byron Jones can just grab the guy and the play would be done.
Yeah, I would read you what David Cantor had to say about the pass interference penalty, but I'd basically just get out. So this is about a 20-word reply, and the only words I can say here on YouTube are not pass interference, and then the other 17 words can't be said on YouTube. So it's if that tells you anything, and that's a player agent that represents players on both teams.
And,
So it's take that for what it's worth. I mean, I too many times we've seen the refs let people play in the final few minutes, and that was so egregiously ticky tack for early in the game, let alone a deciding game or deciding play with two teams having playoff hopes on the line.
yeah, I'm totally with you. If in fact Kurt Warner said on the NFL broadcast too that if that is the play that keeps the Dolphins out of the playoffs, that is a shame. And he was 100% right on that. Especially with how well Byron Jones has shut down opposing wide receivers here throughout the year. So, Paul, let's take a look here at the position by position grades. At quarterback, yeah, I mean, we could go all over the place on this. But at the end of the day, the Dolphins quarterbacks, Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick, 26 for 35, 74% completion percentage, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Dolphins put 26 points on the board. I mean, there are points in this game I could call this an F. There are points in this game that I could call this an A plus. So I'm going to go with a B here, largely because of the stat line and because the Dolphins won.
I'm gonna, yeah. There's so much A and F and B and C and D and everything with this one. I'm gonna average it out to a B minus here because it was critical what they did with Fitzpatrick at the end of the game. There were moments I thought Tua did well, and there were moments when I thought Tua had some issues and looked like a rookie. So in reality, I'm going to go with a B minus here. It's a tough one, but it was the quarterback position that provided some of that spark at the end that got them over the hump.
And something we haven't talked enough about too is that Devontae Parker was out for this game, and Preston Williams is on injured reserve, and Mike Gesicki was playing hurt. Um, it's hard to play quarterback with those types of situations, especially when you're a rookie. At running back, Miles Gaskin. I mean, what more can you say about this guy? I mean, I was just wrong about him.
I was just right about him.
And 169 total yards today. And two of the biggest plays of the game, a 10-yard rushing touch or 10-yard receiving touchdown, and also a 59-yard receiving touchdown. Savon Ahmed looked like a child compared to Miles Gaskin in this game. So Miles Gaskin alone brings this grade up to an A for me.
Yeah, I mean, it does say a little something about Savon Ahmed that Clayton Fejedelem was our second leading rusher in this game. And I hate to say it, but we'll come back to it. I kind of had thoughts of maybe they should convert Clayton Fejedelem to a fullback, cut Chandler Cox's ass, who doesn't even get on the active roster, and solve two things with one stone. You don't put Fejedelem in at safety. You put him in at fullback occasionally, and he's primarily a special teamer. I'm good with it. But no, absolutely A plus. I thought there were times in the first half where, and I'm going to use this for a little bit of a soapbox moment. And I apologize, Kat. And it's not the whole, oh yeah, I
Go for
love
it.
Gaskin coming out of college.
Go for it.
It's early on in this game. There were two things I noticed with Miami's offense and with Gaskin as well. The first thing I noticed was the Raiders bit like hell on the first move for anything the Dolphins did on offense. So once they started moving the ball, it was, they fake a handoff this way and hand it back that way. They could fake a handoff to the same guy, and it was you would watch the Raiders defense go, the ball's, it's over there, and then they could throw the freaking screen back to the same guy they just faked it to, because the whole defense just bit as one and played aggressively undisciplined at times when it came to that. The problem was Chan Gailey was calling plays that were too stupid to call against the defense. It's like, oh, that's where the ball's going. Let's all go there. And, it was like, okay, they're biting on everything. Hand the ball off up the middle. And he got worse when it came to short yardage. And he got worse when it came to red zone. The other aspect of that, too, was Miles Gaskin at times was being a little bit indecisive in the first half when it came time. You'd see him get about 5 yards downfield and like, which way should I go here? But then the second half, he knocked some of that COVID rust off or whatever the hell it was in the first half and just ran angry and decisive. And that's the guy I saw at Washington. That's the guy I was excited about when Miami got him in the draft. That's the guy that, if they can balance it with a little bit bigger body back that can hold up to the pounding, I really think has a chance to be something special as part of that 1-2 punch in Miami's backfield that I do still think there's a role for Savon Ahmed in as well. As far as the grade concerned, dude, the guy had 16.4 yards receiving, 6.2 yards per carry, 169 total yards of offense, and 2 critical touchdowns, including the one that kept Miami in this game. A plus for me, and before you get a chance, he's going to be my player of the game. Don't you take him.
Okay, fair enough. I've got somebody else in mind, but
I have a few other people, but he.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Dolphins win this game without Miles Gaskin. No doubt about it. And yeah, rushing, receiving, phenomenal job. On the defensive side of the ball, actually, did we bypass?
No, you just went from running backs to defense because I talked so goddamn long that you're like, we must have talked about receivers and linemen and tight ends and all this.
Yeah.
No, we got to talk about them, Cat.
So receivers, yeah. Devontae Parker before the game was inactive, and Mike Gesicki was a bigger role than I thought that he would be. I thought he would just be a decoy. That pass, that reception late in the game from Ryan Fitzpatrick, 40 yards downfield, was phenomenal. And I'll tell you this, Mike Gesicki wants Ryan Fitzpatrick to play quarterback. I guarantee you this. No doubt about it. But then you got Mac Hollins, who dropped a potential touchdown that would have put the Dolphins up 20-16. And it was one of the biggest gaffes of the game, but then he made it up later in the game. Kudos to him. Everybody else to me is pretty much a role player. Jakeem Grant went down with an injury, and he's probably going to be out for a little while. So overall, Mac Hollins' catch takes it from a C- to a B-.
I'm going to go a little different route than you on this one. I was a little surprised Shaheen didn't have a role. I was really bummed about Grant because Grant was starting to turn it on, and Grant's a guy that has had the Raiders number in the past. I did expect a little bit more out of Lynn Bowden in this one, but while they didn't put up big numbers, guys like Isaiah Ford, I thought were critical in this one. Had a few critical catches. It's Mac Hollins did drop that pass, but I've got news for anybody that wants to say otherwise. He was down at the one if he caught it. He was being touched, his knee was on the ground, and if he caught the ball, it was not in the end zone yet. So
And then
Miami,
Miles Gaskin would have ran it in on the next play, though.
Chan Gailey would have called an uninspired series of BS from the goal line. So Mac might have saved the game. I don't know. Or maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick would have deviated from what Chan Gailey said. That's also possible. But in reality, we can woulda, coulda, shoulda all we wanted. There were a lot of critical blocks I saw from guys like Durham Smythe in this one, from Isaiah Ford in this one. Those really critical blocks on the Myles Gaskin touchdown reception from, Mike Gesicki, who knew he knew how to block anywhere but Twitter. And then Mac, the Pirate King Hollins, blocked two guys to spring freaking Myles Gaskin down the sideline. I'm going to go with a B+ here. And it pisses me off that Jakeem Grant got hurt because he was starting to turn it on, and he has always played well against the Raiders, even when he's had issues in the past.
Yeah, he certainly has. He had 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games against the Raiders, and he had a critical third down catch when the Dolphins were down 7-0. It was 3rd and 9, and Tua stepped up in the pocket, hit Jakeem Grant right there in the slot. He seems to have a good rhythm with him there in the pocket. So yeah, it's on the offensive line. It pretty much Ted Karras is what I expect him to be from a game to game basis. Jesse Davis allowed a sack, and he also on a 3rd and 1 play early in the game did not do very well. He got moved to the side. And Savon Ahmed did not do pretty much anything in this game. But at the offensive tackle spots, because that's really all I care about, Austin Jackson and Robert Hunt did a fantastic job in this game. So because of that, and the pass protection overall that was provided, I'm going to go with a B+.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I know a lot of people are going to bash them. We've already talked a little bit about some of the goods and bads. I thought Karras probably had his best game as a Dolphin in this one. Austin Jackson continues to come along and have rookie moments. I know Robert Hunt had a hugging penalty early on. And yeah, I'm going to say hugging because I nicknamed the guy Hugger Hunt after last week. And it's going to stick, goddammit. But, I missed Kinley in this one. I really want to see Kinley get back out there. Hopefully we get him back next week. Ted Karras, like I said, had his best game as a Dolphin. I saw a lot of plays where I saw him blocking solo that he hasn't been in the past, and I think he's starting to get a little fired up. And I'm starting to lean into that camp of it'd be nice to have him back next year and not have to waste the pick grabbing a guy like Humphrey or Lindstrom. But I can go with a B+ for the offensive line, even though they allowed 3 sacks. I don't put all those sacks on them. And I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too. And Tua held the ball way too long on certain penalties or certain passes that he threw, and that's part of the reason why he was benched to begin with. On the defensive side of the ball, Derek Carr 344 passing yards, and Josh Jacobs had a lot of success on the ground too. I mean, the Raiders moved the football. And I was disappointed to see that from this defense because I wanted to see a 17 to 20 point output instead of the 27 points they've put up in 6 of the last 7 games for the Raiders on offense. But that that that, that didn't quite happen. They moved the ball downfield, and part of it was Darren Waller on Eric Rowe. Uh, you know, but they were phenomenal catches also from Darren Waller.
They were. I mean, I have to say, I think I put a tweet out midway through the second half. It's and I'm going to expand on that a little bit too. But Darren Waller, in a season we've seen George Kittle, in a season we've seen Travis Kelce, in a season we've seen a lot of really good tight ends in addition to them, and on a team that features the ghost of Jason Witten at this point. Darren Waller is the best tight end in football, at least for this moment in time. What I saw from him, there were moments that Eric Rowe had perfect coverage on him, and Waller had no business pulling the ball in. And he just looks like a special tight end right now. And there's no insult to Gesicki, it's no insult to Kelce, it's no insult to Kittle or anybody else in the game. But Darren Waller is playing the best receiving tight end in football right now, and it's not close.
Well, it's Kelce and it's Darren Waller, because Kelce is leading the NFL in receiving yards, and then you have Darren Waller who is at 1,100, and then after that, I think it might be T.J. Hawkinson at 700 yards. Like that is the thing that's separating Kelce and Darren Waller from the rest of the NFL tight ends right now, and that's why you saw Eric Rowe get beat up today. And it's not Eric Rowe's fault.
We're talking about Eric Rowe. We didn't even do the D line yet, or the front seven. What?
Yeah, you're right. I'm jumping all
over. Let's swing it back. Swing it back. We got
okay. Defensive line, not a lot of pass rush. Josh Jacobs had a lot of yardage here on the ground as well. So overall, I'm going to go with a C for the defensive line.
I'm going to go with a B minus. I thought they did well overall. I didn't see the pass rush I wanted to in this game, but I do tend to count Van Ginkel as a defensive lineman, even though he drops into coverage. He's more of a pass rusher. 90% of the downs he's out there. And so Van Ginkel brings it up a little bit for me. And again, I thought the middle of the D-line was solid. And Wilkins got some hits in, even though he didn't pack the stat sheet tonight. So, and they held up well on a few critical 4th and 1s and things like that, and moments that helped Miami claw their way back into this game. You know, I'm going to go B minus, actually. B minus.
Linebacker, I'm going to count Van Ginkel as linebacker. 2 sacks, 2 tip passes in the first half, like you've alluded to. And I thought at that overhang position at linebacker, he was phenomenal. Jerome Baker also did as well as he could for a 215, 220-pound linebacker here. Van Noy had that big penalty on a 3rd and 1 late in the game that should have and might have cost the Dolphins the game. That is a blemish on his record there. He jumped the snap count, not good enough for him. So overall for the linebackers, I'm going to go with a C.
God, I'm. There were a lot of things in this game that the linebacker core did that aren't going to show up on the dance card at the end of the day. You can look at any box score you want to look at, and it's not going to be there. It's not going to show up on PFF. It's not going to show up anywhere else. But an example of that would be with Van Noy. Yes, he jumped when the Raiders had a brilliantly designed play to make players jump. Totally get it. And, you know, he should have held discipline, but it happens. That said, there was a play earlier in the game on a series that the Oakland Raiders settled for a field goal where Darren Waller came in motion and Darren Waller was supposed to be the recipient of a screen pass in the red zone. That I got news for you. Nobody was accounting for him. He had way too much of a lead, and Van Noy had a superhuman change of direction. And not only that, basically just it's gonna sound stupid. He just collided with Darren Waller, knocked him completely pinwheeling backwards. Van Noy went pinwheeling backwards, and it looked like just a straight up collision, but it was Van Noy just scuffing the hell out of the guy. And that is a play that I can't imagine Darren Waller drops. And he basically, if Van Noy hadn't spotted him and come off and popped him, he would have waltzed into the end zone untouched. And Miami loses this game. And so I can't drag it down that far. I can go B minus again for the linebackers, even though there were some issues today.
At defensive back, the, really the two biggest plays late in the game. One was the Byron Jones touchdown allowed to Nelson Aguilar, where Bobby McCain was chasing him in the secondary after that. And secondly, regardless of what you think about whether or not the penalty should have happened, it was a 49-yard penalty. And those two things happened. I mean, we're talking about 100 and let's see my math here, 135 yards of field position in two series. So that's got to count against Derek Carr in some way. But he also did not throw a touchdown pass in this game, to my knowledge. So, I go back and forth on this. Xavier Howard was phenomenal in this game. He punched a ball up, and it should have been intercepted if it would have fallen right into his lap. So Byron Jones brings this down for me to a C+.
I'm with you on the C plus. Byron does bring it down. I thought Bobby played a good game. Eric Rowe, this is going to sound unpopular. I thought played a good game. I just think Darren Waller did eat his lunch, but there was nothing more Eric Rowe could have done. It's just Darren Waller's that special right now.
Agreed.
And as you pointed out, Xavier Howard had a good game. Nick Needham had a couple of errors here and there, but overall, he was solid. So yeah, I can go with a C plus for these guys. Even though Derek Carr threw for 330 yards, it just turned into a game that was going a certain kind of way at the end there, and I don't fully put that on the DBs.
Yeah, and it's only because when you look at it, the Raiders had almost 500 yards in offense, but it was a bend but don't break type of offense here. They scored 25 points. A lot of them came on field goals, and a lot of them came on two plays for Nelson Aguilar against Byron Jones. Special teams, Jason Sanders nails a 44-yard kick at the end of the game. And I don't have a lot bad to say about that, except for how the Dolphins and Danny Crossman's special teams unit defended Hunter Renfrow, who I thought had a phenomenal game, both as a slot guy as well as a punt returner. But I'm going to go with a B for the special teams unit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh God, this is a game that I thought early on I was gonna be bagging the special teams unit, but once things settled down after the first series or two, I'm going to be honest, the special teams unit was very good. The special teams unit garnered a few penalties. We didn't have any big returns on our side, but we started limiting most of the big returns on their side. And the special teams unit, you cannot overlook the play of Clayton Fejedelem. That fake punt where he had one of the spin moves of the year coming around. The fact that on that final play to run that final second off the clock, he forced a turnover to keep the Dolphins' streak alive at 21 straight games with a forced turnover. The fact that you look at the other side of the ball and the Raiders were willing to trot out their field goal kicker that at one point in this game was 21 of 31 on the year. missed an extra point, and you're going to count on that guy to come out and win the game for you. Woo, good on you. Way to coach, Captain Gruden. You know, knock that Super Bowl ring on the desk over on the beach and tell us you got this. But obviously you don't right now. It felt like, other than Hunter Renfro, special teams is a completely overlooked aspect of the game for this Raiders team, and it showed. It really, truly showed. They had penalties knocking people back. I can give this
Yeah.
special teams unit a B plus for Miami because they, at the end of the day, despite some early struggles, put this team in a position to win.
Yeah. The Clayton Fedulum fake punt, which a blind man could have seen. They were showing it on the NFL Network even before it happened, like as a view behind the actual snap. And they were talking about how that would how that was possible would have happened. And then Fedulum took the snap and then went 22 yards, spin move, phenomenal game for Clayton Fedulum. Not only for that, but also he keeps the streak alive. 22 straight games now for the Miami Dolphins with a turnover at the end of the game. Good for you, Clayton Fedulum. And so it's been a long day, Paul. We've done like 2 1-hour shows here. So, who is your Coke Bus player of the game? Who is your player of the game?
God, I wish we hadn't made that agreement to not put coaches on the Coke bus because Chan Gailey would sit on there for me. But I already gave a sneak preview, so I'll get to my player of the game here in a second. Guys, if you're watching, thank you for tuning in. I know it's late as hell for you, but I know you Dolphin fans are not sleeping right now after that huge, huge, huge national win, nationally televised win, day after Christmas. Huge Christmas present, Dolphins fans. We are alive and kicking in the playoff hunt. Make sure you click the like button. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to keep coming at you as we go through here. Playoffs or no, but at this point, it looks like we're going to have some playoff coverage here. But my player of the game for this one, Myles Gaskin. We've said so many good things about the guy. I did consider Clayton Fedulum. I did consider a few guys, but I did consider Andrew Van Ginkel. But at the end of the day, this young kid out of Washington that nobody gave a real chance to when he was drafted started to show a little bit of promise last year under Flo and came out this year and just came back from COVID, yesterday? And hit the ground running with 169 total yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, arguably the play of the game in this one. Easily gets my player of the game for this game. As far as the Coke bus goes, that's a little bit tougher for me in this one. But I got to go with Eric Flowers. I know he just came back from injury. He struggled greatly at times. And, he easily could have gotten a drive killed by being 15 yards downfield on a pass play, hitting a guy who dropped back in coverage. I mean, I love Eric Flowers. I think it's a blip on the
Yeah.
radar. But again, I think getting Solomon Kinley back is going to be a good problem to have.
Yeah, I think that he could have gotten it. Eric Flowers really is what he is. He's stiff. He's 6'6", 340 pounds. He is what he is. He can't get downfield, and he makes some key errors in those situations. My Coke Bus player of the game uh, is probably going to be Savon Ahmed. I thought there were yards to be had at the running back spot, and there's a reason why Gaskin got him and Ahmed did not. Um, a close runner-up for me would be Byron Jones, but there was so little pass rush as well from the defensive line that I can't completely put that on him. Um, because you took Myles Gaskin, I'm going to go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, without question, the Dolphins do not win this football game if he does not come in and go 9 for 13, 185 yards, a touchdown, and complete that miracle pass to Mac Hollins at the end of the game. Yeah, he got face masked, but I also think, too, that if he had completed that, Jason Sanders also would have hit a 59-yard field goal instead of the field goal that he made there. So that's going to do it for our breakdown of the Dolphins Raiders football game. 26-25, Dolphins over the Raiders. They're 10-5. Enjoy the football games tomorrow, everybody. Paul, anything else that jumped out from the chat?
No, I mean it's guys. Let's not fight over Tua and Fitzpatrick right now. Let's enjoy this victory. Let's enjoy the fact that Miami is alive and kicking and right now controls their own playoff fate. And a year removed from that debacle of 2019, we are sitting here at 10-5. The very worst we can finish this season is 10-6 and outside the playoffs. The very best we can finish this regular season is 11-5 and in the playoffs. That's a wonderful feeling. And guys, you should be proud of this team no matter what right now. You should be proud to call yourself a Dolphins fan. Welcome anybody that wants to jump on the bus with us here. It's still not too late for the folks that are listening that are not fans of the Dolphins to hop on there. I'm okay with the bandwagon right now because we are not there yet. So, guys, thank you for tuning in, and really, I'm excited. Make sure you follow Kat and I. I'm Fanatic Pick on Twitter. Kat is Brian Cat NFL.
Facebook, Twitter, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and that will do it for our breakdown of the Raiders Dolphins game here. And everybody have a good night.